Governor Eli Remolona told reporters Tuesday the move is still, quote, on the table, which would be the third straight cut if approved. The Bangko Sentral has so far slashed rates by a total of 125 basis points since starting its easing cycle in August of last year. Remolona said upcoming data, including second quarter GDP out on August 7th, will factor into the decision. After August, two more policy meetings are set for October and December. When asked about a third cut this year, Remolona said it would take something very unusual to justify it. And the Philippine Stock Exchange Index opens this Wednesday slightly higher by about 0.1% to 6,328, the first rise in 3 sessions following the SONA. The local bourse slipped by 0.8% yesterday, Tuesday, with PhilStock's financials saying investors were dismayed as some pressing issues went unmentioned during the SONA, including online gambling and U.S. tariffs. The broader all-shares index fell by 1/3%, and sectoral gauges were in the red except for property. As for the Philippine peso, it opens today stronger, 57.22 the dollar. Peso closed yesterday weaker at 57.31 against the greenback. 10-year government bond yields ticked up to 6.223% from the previous close of 6.217%. With our post-SONA conversations, our next guest is the former Undersecretary of Trade and Industry who spearheaded the agency's inclusive innovation strategy. She's now Strategic Advisor at DepEd Center for AI Research Philippines Qualifications Framework Council. Welcome, Rafaelita Aldaba. So good to see you again, Fita. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Kathy. It's a pleasure to talk to you this
Belated
morning.
congratulations on the new role. What's keeping you busy these days at the DepEd Center, if I may ask?
Yeah, well, I'm currently serving the Department of Education, and we are, of course, implementing AI tools, building models so as to support DepEd's needs. And we're building real tools, actually. We have a group, it's composed of AI professionals like engineers, data scientists, education researchers, including economists like myself.
Looks like a really exciting space.
Tools, but we're solving real problems.
Real problems, finding real solutions. But you know, you've been equally busy updating that discussion paper with the Philippine Institute for Development Studies. This one that you wrote way back in April, navigating a new era of reciprocal tariffs. It's like you've never been gone at the DTI. What have you found is the Philippines standing now at the ASEAN 5 level with 19% of a tariff rate?
Well, from the earlier pronouncements made in April, we were at an advantage point, I would say. We were the Philippines was the lowest at 17% versus our competitors, our neighbors like Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Malaysia. So using a tool which I called a tariff exposure composite index, which tries to measure the relative vulnerability of the country's exports to the new tariff regime, we were classified as a moderate risk. Malaysia also was a moderate risk during that first tariff announcement, but Vietnam was high, Thailand was at a high risk as well, and Indonesia was also moderate. But now that we have the new tariff announcements, with Vietnam coming down to 20%, which is very close to what was given to the Philippines at 19%, and it's also 19% for Indonesia. So we somewhat lost that advantage that we had previously, and right now, of course, we have to compete really against strong countries who have deeper involvements or deeper participation in the
Right. So,
global.
so Fita, what you're saying is that we're now at more of moderate rather than low to moderate. So a lot still needs to be done, especially as China's still in the second round of talks for a tariff truce extension, and it's considered the whale in the house. So how critical is it now that we do end up with what the government now wants at 15%? And is that possible at all with the kind of leverage or the lack thereof that we still have?
I think the 15% is doable because our surplus is relatively smaller. But then again, we have to make really huge commitments. Like Indonesia offered almost 0%, almost 99% for all its products, and then it also agreed to reduce its non-tariff barriers affecting the exports of the U.S. in critical minerals, for example, as well as the other measures which would affect medical devices, pharmaceutical exports coming from the U.S. And at the same time, it committed to purchase really a lot of products coming from the U.S., around 4.5 billion in agriculture, as well as 50 Boeing aircraft. And then Vietnam also offered similar commitments and even promised that it's going to really prevent transshipment from happening in Vietnam. And the EU got 15%, but with a commitment of around 600 billion US dollars in investments. And at the same time, also Japan, which made a commitment of around 550 billion dollars. So if we're able to match those kinds of offers, then 15% is going to be doable.
Got that. Silver linings ahead and hope floats. As you say, nothing's final yet until August 1st. Thank you so much, Fita Aldaba of DepEd.